does an outstanding job of distributing the ball to our playmakers and then making plays with his feet when he needs to.
You've been really close with receivers over the last few years. What's it been like kind of watching them? What's been the biggest takeaway being around those guys on a regular basis?
The unselfishness. It's an uncommon group in that instance that everybody really cares about everybody else in the room. You got a bunch of really talented guys that aren't just looking out for themselves. And in order to have a successful passing offense, you need everybody to kind of be pulling their weight within each passing concept. And all of those guys, as talented as they are, they have no issue doing whatever job is asked of them.
What is going to be the biggest difference between your role now as opposed to when you were the assistant quarterbacks coach that you anticipate?
Being more involved in coaching the quarterbacks on a daily basis would probably be the first thing. And then there's an uptick in game planning responsibility as well throughout the week. And so those two things will probably be the biggest factor, the biggest changes.
What about the continuity, knowing the organization, knowing what's expected, knowing pitch, obviously? How does that help you?
It's huge. Having somebody that has been has run that room for the last 4 years, the way the pitch has, I feel like I've learned an incredible amount from him and from Brian and from Zach. And so being able to lean on those guys is definitely something that I'm very happy that I have the ability to do. And I'm really, really pleased with the continuity and having all the guys that we've had for the last 5 years.
And specifically, what particular ways have you pitched?
I mean, there are tons of ways. When it comes to coaching each individual player, there are certain specifics that are involved with each guy that maybe it's things that pitch has more experience in than I do, and maybe it's something that Callie, whenever he was here, could draw back on an experience that he had whenever he was a quarterback coach, and then Zach as well. And so just having those guys that have been in that position throughout their careers is something that's very beneficial for me.
What was the process like for you, the uncertainty with Brian when he was interviewing? Obviously, Dan had interest across the league as well in his services. What was it like to watch that in the unknown of where you were going to be, where they were going to be too?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I was really excited for them to get the opportunities that they were potentially going to get, both Pitch and Callie. I was really, first and foremost, excited for them. And then, yeah, there was a lot of anticipation on how it would affect me and potentially the career jump, I guess you could say, that it would potentially have for myself. That was something that I was, kind of waiting with anticipation.
When you got the news, what was your first reaction?
Just excitement and gratitude. Really, really grateful just for the opportunity that Zach and that our ownership family had entrusted in me, and just really, really happy and really grateful.
Someone who's been in the room with Joe in terms of when you guys give him the game plan, what's unique about his process in terms of what does he like from his coaches and what does he not like?
At the end of the day, Joe just wants people that are going to help put him in the best position to have success on the field. And so that can come in a number of different ways. But really, when it comes to scheme, he will be involved as much or as little as he wants or feels like he needs to be. And so just having an open ear and being willing to listen to his suggestions and what he might see as a good fit for that specific week is something that's valuable.
How has working with Joe sharpened you and maybe made you more prepared for the role you're going to be taking on?
Well, Joe is a very, very smart football player. He's a very smart quarterback, and so you've always got to be on your stuff. You have to be consistent every single day. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to maybe admit when you don't have the answer to a question that he has, and tell him that you'll get it as fast as you can. And being open and honest, and there's certainly an element of Joe enhancing the coaches that are around him.
We saw that Jake got attended by the team today. What's probably the thing he doesn't get enough credit for how well he did last season?
I don't know that there necessarily is a thing that he doesn't get enough credit for. I think he's gotten a ton of really deserved credit for the success that he was able to have last year whenever he came in. And again, Jake's just somebody that's very, very comfortable in our offense. He's very intelligent, and he knows how to distribute the football. And then when the time calls for it, he knows how to use his legs as well.
How important is it to have your QB2 have a good relationship with your QB1, like it seems like Joe and Jake do, and how beneficial is that to the development of both of them?
It's a big piece of it. It's honestly it's part of the evaluation process as you're here at the combine, for instance, is feeling out how a guy would mesh in your quarterback room, how he could potentially benefit the starting quarterback, and what that relationship would look like. That's a big piece of being the backup quarterback, and then obviously there's a developmental aspect to it as well. But he provides a lot both in the meeting room throughout the week and on the sideline on game day. He's an extra set of eyes that can provide another perspective, an educated perspective that can help the guy who is on the field taking the snaps.
I know it's still early in the process, but what do you think of this draft class for the quarterbacks?
They're exciting. The first word that comes to mind is talented. It's a really talented group from the top to the bottom, and I'm still early on in the process of evaluating them and really getting a good feel for them. But you can tell early on that it's a very impressive group.
What quarterbacks did you watch maybe growing up or when you get into coaching? What quarterbacks maybe kind of had an influence on you or you got close to, or maybe just watched on film and like?
Sure. All of my dad's quarterbacks come to mind immediately. All of the guys that played for him, he had a lot of really, really good ones. Names you guys might not recognize with Brian Braun, Paul Smith, guys like that. And then obviously people like Tom Brady was who he was whenever I was growing up. And guys like that I really admired and enjoyed watching from afar.
I think your grandfather talked about and rules how to play the quarterback. Made him a defensive player.
I did not know about that. That's news to me.
I haven't checked, but I believe he's probably one of the younger position coaches, especially at the quarterback position. Has that settled into you at all? That you climbed the ladder pretty quickly, and that clearly speaks to the job that your other coaches think of you. But has that hit you at all? That you might be one of the youngest quarterback coaches?
I don't know that it's necessarily hit me. I've just tried to do as good of a job as I possibly can at whatever job I'm given, and whatever the results are that come from that, I live with, and I'm happy with where I'm at right now.
What was your dad's reaction? This happened for you?
He was really excited for me.
Yeah. How did he influence? Obviously you're in the profession he was in, so obviously it's an influence. But how did he leave his biggest imprint on you as a coaching style?
More than anything else, probably just the relationship he had with his players. That was something that I felt very fortunate to get to see firsthand growing up. Was the relationships that he built with his guys, with his players, and how much they admired him was an aspect of coaching that maybe doesn't always get seen at face value, but it's something that's really, really important, and I'm glad that I got to learn at a young age.
What's the best piece of advice he gave you as you were trying to figure out kind of what your path into professional is going to look like? What's the best piece of advice he gave you on navigating all that?
Just be consistent. I think that's an important piece of coaching. Being in the coaching profession is just being consistent in your work habits and being somebody that can be trusted and somebody that is always going to put their best foot forward and try to do everything they can to help the team.
He never said don't go into coaching is my advice?
No, he encouraged it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How is being as even tempered as you are? How do you think that is?
Say it one more time.
Even tempered. You come off as very, very even tempered. It's not too high, not too low. What do you think?
Yeah, that might come from playing days. I had a coach that used to say that you want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer, and playing the quarterback position, and I always kind of took that to heart, and so maybe that's something that has just carried over into my coaching career.
Who's the coach?
Andrew Coverdale. He's the offensive coordinator for St. X. He was my offensive coordinator at Trinity High School in Louisville.
What was your connection to Zach? How did you end up here?
So Zach was on the staff at Texas A&M in 2010 when Mike Sherman was the head coach, and my dad had gotten onto that staff just for a short amount of time. He was only there in the spring and into the summer, and at the time my family was living in Tulsa, and so I had gone down to College Station and spent 2 or 3 weeks in College Station going to summer camps and and things like that. And during my off time, I was hanging out in the offensive staff room, and Zach Taylor was the offensive GA, who was also hanging out in the offensive staff room a lot of those times. And so I got to build a relationship with him throughout all that. And then whenever I stayed in touch with him, and then whenever I was coming out of college and trying to get into coaching, he was the offense coordinator at UC, and he was one of the first people that I hit up and was trying to get on at UC as a GA. It didn't work out back then, but was really happy to get to reconnect with him whenever he got to Cincinnati.
What's different maybe about Zach Taylor, the GA, in College Station to Zach Taylor as a coach?
That's a great question. I don't know that I could really specify certain things that are different. I think he's exceptional at both roles, and I think that maybe that's one of the reasons that he's such a great head coach is because he still kind of has those GA roots, if you will, and he knows how to relate to people, especially guys that are in those roles. I can speak to being a guy who was in that role on his staff, and how he treated me as a head coach is not common. And so I think that he's just an incredible people person that knows how to connect with people and get the most out of them.
Does he have a pretty remarkable talent of total recall or recall of different plays or situations?
Zach?
Yes.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he can recall things from the football camp that I went to in College Station, Texas, in July of 2009. And so, yeah, he has some pretty impressive recall.
Brad, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.